Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Late Night Learning. I am your host, Dr. Anthony Palumba. Now, we are in the holiday season, and one of the things that's on everybody's minds are brands. What's your brother's favorite clothing brand? What's your sister's favorite makeup brand? What's your father's favorite car brand? What's your mom's favorite car brand, for that matter? We always think about different brands when we're trying to shop, whether it's for us or whether it's for ourselves. And so I have alongside me, as in the last episode, my own mother. And so what I'd like to start with, Mom, is kind of a conversation. What kinds of brands do you like? Are there any brands that are your favorite? Any brands that you go after when you're shopping?
I like skin care, like cleanses and lotions.
Is there any?
I like Obagi.
Like Obagi.
So that's my
Obagi.
favorite line.
Okay, so that's your favorite line. So Obagi, where is that from?
Well, you can't really find it on the shelves. So you have to find it in a doctor's office.
Interesting. Now with Obagi, that is a brand itself. What do you like about Obagi that other skincare products just can't seem to get to?
It's a little more aggressive in lightening your skin on darker spots, on darker areas. It exfoliates the skin very nicely. It softens and moisturizes very nicely. And I go for a better type of a brand.
Interesting. Have you used other skincare products in the past?
Yes, I have, but I haven't gotten the results.
You haven't gotten the results. Now, when you're looking for a skincare product, then when you're looking at the packaging, you look for that, right?
Yes, I do.
You look for that. Are there other brands that you follow with food or car or any other kind of product vertical?
Yes, I do. I look for a car brand that I like.
Yeah, what kind of car brands do you like?
I tend to go for a Honda.
Tend to go for a Honda.
It's a very sturdy car. Gets me through the winter storms.
Well, we like sturdy cars.
Yes, and it fits my budget.
Those are some interesting brands that you've mentioned. Are there any other brands that come to mind, Mom?
Yes, I like Dreamfield pasta because it has low carbohydrate.
Okay, awesome. So we're interested in low carb pasta. We're affixing some sort of meaning to the brand, right? There's a brand association there. Oh, I can go after Dreamfield pasta. It's low carb. Excellent.
Right.
Are there any other brands that come to mind?
I like Rayo tomato sauce.
Okay, Rayo's tomato sauce. Why do we like Rayo tomato sauce?
It's made very well. And it comes out of a jar, and I don't have to be in the kitchen for hours making sauce.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what we're seeing here in kind of interviewing my mom is that it's not enough just to like a brand. There's always kind of more here. And this is known as an interviewing approach known as laddering, in which you're kind of pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling on consumers' conceptual framework to better understand why they gravitate to what they gravitate. Great, you like McDonald's. Why? Well, because of the cheeseburgers. Well, why? And if you keep asking why, you kind of pull and pull and pull. And really what we're distilling from my mother is low carb pasta is important. Why?
Because of the glycemic control.
And why is that a concern for you?
Because you don't want your blood sugars to be high on carbohydrate.
And why is that an issue?
Because that could lead to diabetes.
And why is that an issue?
That's a bad disease.
There you go. So you can quickly see that when a consumer makes a purchase for pasta or purchase for tomato sauce, there's more going on there than just a simple purchase. By having a conversation with my mother very quickly, diabetes is on her mind when she's purchasing low-carb pasta. That's probably something that a lot of people don't really consider when they're thinking about, oh, well, obviously people like the pasta, it's low carb. If you keep pulling and pulling and pulling and going down a consumer's conceptual framework, you really get a sense of why they gravitate toward a product, and a branded product at that. Are there any other brands that you really enjoy?
Well, I enjoy a lot of vegetables.
Is there a brand that you like with vegetables?
Oh, I can't.
Jolly Green Giant, Dole, what are we talking here?
I'm talking about, I can't remember it, I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's poor brand management then. That's what that means. The company didn't do a good job because my mother cannot recollect it.
Well, I can recollect, I like lentils.
Lentils are great. Lentils is a product though. Is
The
there a
brand
brand?
I like is Jack Rabbit.
There we go. Jack Rabbit, the final brand we'll talk about. With Jack Rabbit, what is it about that brand that other lentil brands just can't do?
I think it has a softer texture when you cook it.
Okay. Softer texture when you cook it. What does that do for you in preparation?
It's a little faster in cooking it. and it's high in protein.
So with the little faster in cooking, why is that important?
Because we're all pressed for time in our busy days.
Excellent. So as a marketer, as a brand manager, this is really what you're trying to do, is go behind the sale itself. It's not enough just to sell something. It's why people are gravitating to it in the first place. Thank you, Mom.
You're very welcome.
Isn't my mother adorable? Just want to eat her up. Anyway, let's get into brand management here. And so with brand management, kind of as I was alluding to earlier with my mother, it is a kind of symbol or logo or emblem that helps represent a particular company. We know with the brand, and we see here with Nintendo, it's meant to help audiences and consumers recognize a company on a shelf or in a department store or online. We also know that there are brand elements as well here. And so if you look at that Nintendo controller on the slide, you can see that there are colors of red on the buttons and black buttons and gray and white. And so it's done in a very careful manner to really gauge audiences' interests in purchasing an old Nintendo Entertainment System for the living room. Hence the color coding here. If you remember old VCRs, they were black, they were white, they were red, they were gray as well. And so this was very representative of belonging in a living room. And so with the Nintendo console, with brand elements like packaging and color and things like that, it helps imbue a brand with style, with sophistication, with whatever the company wants to imbue it with, surrounding some sort of core meaning that the consumer can then derive many different things about the company from. And then there's the product itself. Now, Nintendo as a brand, I can't hold it, I can't hug it. What I can do, though, is I can hold and touch the product itself. And so that's kind of the difference between a brand and a product, right? A brand itself is a branded statement or logo or symbol or emblem on a product. So the brand itself carries a lot of different meanings. The product is the consumer's relationship with that brand in as tangible as a form as he or she can possibly have with said company. Let's move along. Now, why do brands matter? Brands matter a ton. This is an old commercial for Nintendo Entertainment System, but one that I remember. Nintendo, now you're playing with power. This was a commercial that was very, very popular in the late 80s into the early 90s. And so this commercial helped empower scores and legions of 5-year-olds. And if you think about it, 5-year-olds really don't have a lot of power, right? All of us that have been 5-year-olds, have often had to listen to adults. And so we don't really get to dictate much about our own lives. We don't really get to dictate much about what we think or what we know or really get to influence our world around us. But with Nintendo, we can get there. With Nintendo, now we're playing with power. This serves as a risk reducer. A risk reducer means that a brand that has some sort of personality schema with it can help guide consumers around purchase habits. And so it may very well be that a Nintendo Entertainment System is reliable, cool, whimsical, and all of those things. And so if I know that it's a Nintendo console, or if I know it's a Nintendo video game, I have certain opinions that have been made by playing Nintendo previously. And so the brand itself does serve as a risk reducer. We're reducing risk, we're reducing search costs for the consumer. The consumer can kind of browse around and be able to anticipate what his or her experience will be based on the brand being affixed to the product itself. Let's move along. If we look at the customer-based brand equity model, this is a way in which for brands to get connected to people. So for instance, if we start at the bottom, if we introduce a new brand, let's say it's Microsoft, it could be Dunkin' Donuts as well. Salience, brand salience is important. This is your first connection with a consumer. So you may say to yourself, well, who are you? Why do I need you to satisfy my needs? That's where a lot of brand management comes from. Why does the consumer need you? The second level, moving up from the bottom, is performance and imagery. This deals with primary characteristics, product reliability, user profiles, and usage situations. So once I know who you are, What's your performance like? What's the quality like? If I walk into a Dunkin' Donuts coffee store for the first time, I might say, all right, well, I guess I might need your coffee store. And so inevitably, because I'm a coffee drinker, it may very well be I might stop in your store. Okay, what about performance and imagery? Dunkin' Donuts has a lot of pink, a lot of brown, a lot of orange in its color scheme. Okay, so it's warm and inviting. It's got a little bit of fluorescent coloring in it. It's exciting. One of its slogans currently is America runs on Dunkin'. Okay, this is kind of motivating me. It feels like it's a brand that's for the everyday person. That feels great. I think I can get behind that. If we look at performance, then I might purchase a Dunkin' Donuts cup of coffee and say, whoa, this is really good. And how much is it? That's it? These are certain thoughts that might come to my mind when I have my first cup of Dunkin' Donuts that I've ever had. And so slowly but surely, not only have I been introduced to the brand, but now I'm going in deeper and deeper and deeper into the brand itself. But I have to make a judgment. That's at the third level of that pyramid. I need to make a judgment here. And so if we look back on the pyramid, you can see that judgments and feelings are important here. I'm thinking about quality, I'm thinking about credibility, I'm thinking about social approval as well. Is this something that I can get behind? Is this something that I can continually consume? The final level here is brand resonance. If you've earned brand resonance with consumers, it really does become part of their daily life. There might even be some level of loyalty or some level of attachment or engagement with the brand itself. You might have some consumers who are purchasing Dunkin' Donuts mugs or wearing Dunkin' Donuts shirts or participating in Dunkin' Donuts festivals and other kind of community outreach as well. And so that's kind of the scale upon which we start with consumers who are not familiar with your brand, really going all the way through to attachment, loyalty, and satisfaction. Let's move along. Why do we need branding in the entertainment industry? Why is this even relevant? Well, if we think about it, there are over 500 TV shows that are introduced alone each year. And that kind of intense competition is astounding. It's driven up advertising revenue costs. It's driven up paying actors fees for showing up on shows. It's really become very expensive and very competitive. For that reason, then, branding is even more important than it's ever been. If you think about it, if there are only 2 delis in your neighborhood, let's say, is brand management really that important? Well, no. It's only 2 delis in your neighborhood. People go to one or they go to the other. But we know brand management literature has demonstrated over and over again, the more competitors in an area, the more you need brand management. You need to figure out how to stand out from the crowd. Moreover, there is major decision making going on at each entertainment brand right now, whether it's gaming, films, and TV shows for that matter. And so customer relationship management now is super, super important. We have a lot of data on consumers that helps us understand where consumers fall along a particular trajectory. And so in getting into this then, it's important and really, really crucial for TV channels and for TV brands to get a better sense of what's going on with their consumers. Brand equity is also important because we're trying to leverage the differences between knowing a brand and then using a generic brand. So what is the difference from going to hamburger shop A, maybe a mom and pop shop, and then going to a Wendy's or a Five Guys or a McDonald's? That difference between going to a generic hamburger place and then going to In-N-Out Burger or McDonald's or Burger King, I highly recommend In-N-Out, by the way, that difference is brand equity. That's how we figure out what the equity, the value is behind a particular brand. If we go back to that slide then we're really worried about brand relationship theory. Now, brand relationship theory is this notion that we all have relationships with brands. Some of us might feel divorced from a brand. Did Pantene Pro V not come through for you? Some of us may feel married to a brand. I cannot go anywhere without my Maybelline mascara. We all have different relationships and different kinds of conceptual relationships that we literally map out onto other brands. And so advertisers, PR professionals, marketers, brand managers know this. They know that we interpret the world around us as we do with our own human relationships. And sometimes we affix and ascribe these relationships onto products themselves, leading toward a very interesting relationship. And that's ultimately what you want as a marketer, as a brand manager at this point in 2018. You want a relationship. Advertising has really gone far away from just simply focusing on the point of sale between a consumer and a store. They want to keep you coming back. They want to be able to build a relationship with you, be involved in memories that you create, be involved in certain holidays. That's why Kraft Foods and other types of brands, Pillsbury, put out commercials during the holidays. Oh, you got to have the Pillsbury rolls. How could you not have the Pillsbury rolls? It's Thanksgiving. What are you doing? When we start affixing brands to holidays, that's a relationship right there. You're building on some sort of relationship that we can't possibly make any memories without Pillsbury rolls. And I know some of you have favorite brands that you like to bring around the holiday season. That is a kind of brand relationship there. And brand relationship theory has been found to support how consumers engage certain brands across a variety of different product verticals: cars, restaurants, hotels, electronics, and things of that nature. Let's move along. Points of parity. Points of parity are really, really important to understand here. Points of parity demonstrate the similarities between particular brands. And so if we think about in a product category, horror, let's say for instance, a genre in entertainment is arguably a kind of product vertical, right? Maybe a sub-product vertical. It is meant to only house certain products, and there are certain expectations that consumers carry with them when we think of these products: blood, gore, mystery, fright, fear, darkness, weapons, villains. These are all things that come to mind when we think of horror. Even ghosts, Dracula, werewolves, murderers, all of those things come to mind when we think of the horror genre, whether it's television, movies, or video games. Here I have Friday the 13th, the game, which is a video game, and then I have the recent It movie that came out last year. And so when we think about these movies, or these products for that matter, we have expectations. Brand management is about managing consumers' expectations. We are worried about what consumers are feeling, thinking, and know about a brand when they head into it. And so here, what we're interested in are the similarities across products, the expectations of category elements within the game. And so for here, we also have Halo, Gears of War on the right-hand side, and those are two shoot 'em up or first shooter video games. And so there are certain kinds of anticipations that consumers have about these games. If their expectations are not met, it can tarnish the brand. And this has been found to be the case in study after study in the marketing literature stream. Let's move along. If we think about points of differences, we also have relevance, distinctiveness, believability, feasibility, communicability, and sustainability. If we think about relevance, relevance deals with, is this difference between Ferrari and Lamborghini relevant? For instance, Ferrari may have leather seats, Lamborghini doesn't. Is it relevant? Well, in a car, yeah, difference in leather seats is super relevant. What about mirror size? Rear view mirror size. Is it super relevant? Probably less so. Distinctiveness. Are the leather seats in Ferrari's car distinctive? Is it enough just to have leather seats? Is the point of difference distinctive? What if Lamborghini also had leather seats? Is Ferrari's leather seats different or distinctive enough than Lamborghini's seats? It's a good question. What about believability? Can the consumers believe that there's actually a big difference between the leather seats in the Ferrari car and let's say the Lamborghini has leather seats as well? Can the consumers really believe that difference? What about feasibility? Is it feasible for Ferrari to continue to have really sophisticated, plush, luxurious leather seats? Is it feasible to keep churning these out? What about communicability? Can you really communicate to your audience that, yeah, we're Ferrari, we have the best leather seats in the world? And what about sustainability, which is related to feasibility? Is it sustainable over the long haul? Will Lamborghini catch up to you with its own version of leather seats that might even be better than yours? These are all points of differences that brand managers have to consider. Let's move along. Criteria for choosing brand elements to fuel brand equity. Is it memorable? If you're telling me that Microsoft's video game console can hold more video games than PlayStation, is it memorable? The way that you've communicated to me as a consumer, is it memorable? Meaningfulness. Is it really meaningful to me? Do I really care that I can store video games here? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. That's up to the brand manager to decide how to communicate that and to which audience segment to communicate that to. Likability. Do I like this element? As a gamer, I'm enthralled with it. Oh my God, give me all the storage in the world. I will not see the light of day as I play Fortnite. There's also transferability. Can I transfer this brand element to other products under my brand? What about adaptability? Can I adapt to make sure that I am the leader in storage on video game consoles? And protectability, which is related to adaptability. Can I protect this? Very difficult to protect something like this. Sony eventually may have a video game console that can store more than me. This isn't something that's so unique that I can protect it. That's very, very difficult to do. With a lot of soda companies and a lot of coffee companies, protectability tends to be a little bit easier because while we have the ingredients on the label, we don't really know how the ingredients are put together. And so for a lot of food products, it's very easy for them to have some sort of protectability. The recipe for Coca-Cola, the recipe for Pepsi, they've really, both companies respectively, have been able to keep those clandestine and really hidden from people. So you can read the ingredients, but figuring out through what process all the ingredients are put together and prepared is not divulged by either company. Well, that's all the time we have on Late Night Learning. As always, keep laughing and keep learning and have a wonderful holiday season.